Freilich and Purim, everybody. I hope everyone is well, is excited to be at this moment in the Jewish calendar. Obviously, Purim is so significant every year. It's one of the most joyous, one of our funnest days at PJC. This year, it feels so significant in a number of ways, including for me, it feels like a demarcation that the pandemic has been going on for a year. Our last memories of a previous world, of a previous existence, was last Purim. And the Shabbos after last Purim was our first Shabbos where we unfortunately had to close shul. Purim feels so significant this year. And the question that hangs over us is, how does one celebrate the happiest day of the year in the midst of a pandemic? On the same week that we're going to say Laihudim Haita Ora Simcha V'Sasam V'Yikar, on the same week where we're going to celebrate and we're going to joyously destroy Haman and celebrate the miracle, the miraculous victory of the Jews overcoming genocide. In this same week, we commemorate, we mark the fact that the 500,000th person in America has perished from COVID. How does one celebrate? How does one mark Purim when that tremendous milestone takes place? I have a recollection. I remember speaking with Aliza 3 months ago when they were talking about the possibility of reaching this moment and saying it's a dream, it's a surreal suggestion that we would get here. And so I wonder, how are we going to do this? How are we going to celebrate together? How are we going to tastefully and authentically find the joy that the day demands of us? How are we supposed to do that in the midst of this experience? I think Purim, for so long, for much of our lives, has been manifested as a superficial joy. We've utilized the tools of the day, whether it's covering ourselves, masking ourselves, or utilizing the other tools of the day, alcohol, and the general energy of the day to create a sense of joy. And it's been appropriate in previous years for us to go over the top, for us to be nuts, for us to be crazy. And that's what the day has demanded of us. What does Purim demand of us this year? It demands us to find not a superficial joy, but a deep, meaningful joy, a sincere joy. It demands of us that though we are living in a world that is suffering and struggling so terribly, we cannot be mired and defined by tragedy. But we have to find the inner sense, the inner strength, the resilience to be joyful. The Jewish people were under the stress of genocide, and straight away their recovery came. The turn of a page, there was a whole new chapter to be written. And part of the sense of joy that they felt in that moment, in that place in Persia, was that though they did not hear the voice of God, though God is hidden in the Megillah, they felt his presence so clearly, so profoundly in the remarkable turnaround, the remarkable victory. As we continue to suffer and struggle under the pressure of this COVID experience, we have to find the resilience. The resilience of the Jews of Persia has to resonate with us. That Yeshuat Hashem Keheref Ayin, the salvation of God, can come in the blink of an eye. We are blessed that God has given us the wisdom, the doctors, the scientists, the skills to come up with a solution. And we are challenged with how long it's taking for us to get there. And yet, we have to say, Purim demands us to recognize that Yeshuat Hashem Ke'eref Ayin, that in a blink of an eye, God could and hopefully will rescue us, will give us salvation. There's one key. There's one gift that the Purim story gives us to help us understand how to find resilience and joy. Towards the conclusion of the story, after the whole battle is over, after the Jews have been saved and being given permission to destroy their enemies, and they do so, Mordechai and Esther write down the story of the Megillah, and they instruct the Jews, Shlach manot ish l're'ehu, that each person should give Shlach manot, should give food and joy to each other. And then again later, just a little bit further in the Megillah, we are told that Mordechai and Esther instruct the Jews to shlach manot ish l're'ehu matanot le'evyonim, to give food to each other and to give gifts to the poor. The question I want to ask here now is, why the first time in the Megillah is it only shlach manot? The second time in the Megillah is shlach manot and matanot le'evyonim. Perhaps we could suggest that Mordechai and Esther cleverly understood that there is a great need, there is a great requirement for Klal Yisrael, for the Jewish people, to celebrate the salvation of Purim. But we know firsthand how difficult it is to get the Jews to support any kind of national new holiday. Right? Mordechai and Esther turned around and said we should say Hallel. And some Jews says, no, we shouldn't say Hallel. The challenge of creating a new holiday amongst the people is existential and significant. And so Mordechai and Esther teach us something so beautiful. You want to build unity amongst the Jewish people? You want to get them unified and behind the effort? Shlach manot ish l're'ehu. Their first political move is to say this is a holiday about sharing and caring. This is a holiday in which your obligation, the way you mark this day, is by giving delicious food to another Jew, to a friend, to a soon-to-be friend. That is the power, that is how they unify the Jewish community behind this holiday. The connections we can have with each other by a small gesture, a small, kind, generous gesture of here's a meal, here's a drink, here's something to enhance your day. Sure, food helps bring us together. But equally as important, if not more significant, is the gesture. Is looking around you and saying, who would be chuffed to get shlach manos? Who would greatly appreciate it? That's the original intent of Mordechai and Esther. That's how they got all the Jews on board to celebrate Purim. But they realized, they saw something taking place. That there were some people who had the resources, who had the ability to share, to buy shlach manot. But remember, Mordechai was exiled from Jerusalem. This was a new and young Jewish Persian community that did not have endless resources, and there were plenty of Jews that couldn't afford a su'udah. They couldn't afford shlach manot. So Mordechai and Esther come along and they amend the instruction. Not only is it about celebrating together and supporting each other and making a kind and generous gesture to another, but it is about enabling those who need a little assistance to feel the joy of the day. Everyone is commanded, is instructed, is encouraged to find deep down, as sincere and as deep as you can, some kind of joy on this day. This is the first time on a national level, on a community-wide level, where this is an existential challenge. How does one find joy in the midst of the times we find ourselves in now? The answer is so simple. It's not alcohol. It's not craziness. It's not masks. Now we have to wear masks. It's not the dressing up in the masks. It's with each other. It's in connecting with another Jew. It's in supporting and making a meaningful gesture. That is how we are going to find our resilience. That's how we're going to find our joy. On this, a day that demands of us, no matter the circumstance, no matter where you find yourself, or how difficult this year has been for you or your family, Purim demands us to find a sense of hope. Believe Yeshuat Hashem keheref ayin, that God will save us, and ultimately, Yivdu es Hashem b'simcha, ba'u lefanav birnana. Rejoice, celebrate, serve God with deep, profound, and meaningful joy. I want to wish each of you a Freilich and Purim, a very happy and an inspiring Purim. Please stop by tomorrow between 11 and 12:30 by our home. We are handing out some delicious burgers, one of my specialties. I'm excited to share with each of you in a safe and joyful manner. This very special day won't be the same if you're not there. Wishing you a Freilich and Purim and a Shabbat Shalom.